Good evening, sports fans. You are listening to a TV Party Tonight extra alternative boxing commentary. We've got the premier boxing championships on Fox. Heavyweight action coming your way. Adam Kownacki versus Chris Arreola. And, of course, I am your stumbling, bumbling host, Mr. Mark Radulich, your mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified. And tonight, we have a new person on the analysis desk. Pat Mullen is at home drinking beer and watching pro wrestling. Something about an Okada and a Sonata and a Whoosy and a G1, and I don't know what's going on over there. But he couldn't be with us this evening, so instead, I put the call out, and this man answered the call from the All About Life podcast. We have boxing enthusiast Victor Kercado. How you doing, Victor?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited about this. I'm hoping we'll get to do more in the future. Tell us real quick about your history with boxing, Victor. How long have you been watching it for? Who do you like? Who do you like to follow?
Actually, I've been watching boxing since 1995, and I really got into it with the whole Tyson era. The guy, and I've always liked the heavyweight division. Being, a fan from boxing and Evander Holyfield. But recently, actually, I've been really following and interested with Manny Pacquiao and his career and how that thing is just taking so many different turns and him coming back. I mean, it's been a wild ride with Mr. Pacquiao there.
It has. We actually called his last fight against Thurman, and it was an interesting one to say the least. For myself, I actually started seriously following boxing probably going back to 2011, and I would follow it for a while, and then I would kind of go away for a little bit. And then Deontay Wilder knocked somebody out in Alabama on Showtime, and I was in love. And I don't care how good or bad anyone thinks Deontay Wilder is. I am a fan of all things Deontay Wilder.
He's a great boxer. No one can take that away from him.
He does
introduce me so I can refute your points.
All right. Before I do that, real quick, Victor, just tell people a little bit about your podcast that you do and where they can find it.
Sure. Actually, you can find me my podcast and anywhere, any platform that you listen to podcast in, whether it's the Anchor, I'm on Spotify. Just got added to iHeartRadio, which I'm really excited about. And All About Life is about bringing encouragement, inspiration, and motivation to all my listeners to inspire people to go out there and follow their dreams and follow their purpose and not to allow anything hold them back, because life is just too short and life is real. We need to take life seriously and just go after it before time runs out, man, because, time's the ultimate fighter. Time beats everybody.
It's nice to have a little positivity on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, because here comes the darkness, ladies and gentlemen, from 411mania.com, fresh off his coverage of UFC Fight Night Covington, a.k.a. I Heart Trump, a.k.a. Kurt Angle's new favorite MMA fighter, versus Robbie Lawler. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Winfree. How do you do, sir?
I'm doing all right, apart from having to look at Deontay Wilder's get-up because, boy, the 1700s called and they want their ruffles back.
Yeah,
he went there.
He's looking a bit Renaissance there. What can one say? How was your UFC coverage this evening? I watched it myself, but I want to get your thoughts since you covered it from soup to nuts. What'd you think of the event?
It wasn't a good event.
Okay.
There was some decent stuff there. Let me see. Matt Schnell had if we're talking prelims, Matt Schnell had a really good submission win. He hits a really slick guillotine to triangle choke transition that I need to study because it's so good. Shevchenko and Pudilova wasn't bad. The main card started rough with Kennedy. They pronounced his name differently, and it's not quite in my head. I think they went with Nezchukwu instead of Nchukwu, but I don't know. re-listen to it again. Him and Darko Stasic had a stinker. Scott Holtzman and Dong Yun Ma it was all right for a 2-round fight. Points of insanity, but it's a Ma fight.
Speaking of fights stopped because an eye was closed.
Yeah, his left eye was swollen shut.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment.
Mershart and Giles was
Meerkat won his fight.
I mean, nice finishing sequence, but other than that, a lot of men. Nasrat Hakparas continues the rampage of Mini Gastelum. That wasn't awful, but was utterly forgettable. Jim Miller, boy howdy. How do you not love Jim Miller? Chokes out Clay Guida less than a minute into the first round. That was great.
Clay Guida needs to go home. Someone give him a kerchief, give him a stick, send him on his way.
Look, Clay Guida's needed to go away since I've been watching the sport. Then Covington
he was one of my
Lawler.
favorites, too.
I once saw Clay Guida fight Gray Maynard. Time stood still. I looked into the middle distance, and there was nothing. And everyone watching around me was like, why do you even watch this stuff? Now, granted, it was with people who don't watch MMA, but still, worst fight ever.
Look, that fight actually got a lot of people to realize what I'd known for quite some time, that Clay Guida's not all that good. He got a reputation for exciting fights when he was distinctly overmatched as a competitor and just bounced around a lot and got punched in the face repeatedly. Anytime he actually won a fight, they tended to suck.
Oh, Jim Miller choked him out, and then we had our 5-round Covington versus Lawler. Interesting fight. That was 5 rounds of Covington either tackling Robbie Lawler or punching him dead in the face.
Yeah, I saw Jimmy Smith put this on Twitter after the first round, and it was very, very prophetic. When Robbie Lawler gets taken down consistently, even when he's getting back up, that tends not to go well for him. Tends to be bad.
Yeah.
When Robbie Lawler gets outboxed at middle distance, he can't win.
All right, so we are just about ready for our main event, and here's what we've got so far. Jean Pascal just dethroned the previous unbeaten WBA interim light heavyweight champion, Sir Marcus Brown. It was stopped in the 8th round due to an accidental headbutt where it looked like poor Marcus Brown's eye was about to fall out of his head. Victor, what did you think of the fight?
It was a great fight until then. I mean, I had it, to tell you the truth, was scoring it with the rounds, and I had it tied. To me, it was very exciting. It was very evenly matched. Of course, I'm 38 years old, so I was rooting for the older guy. But, it was a good fight. I was really disappointed of how it ended with just that gnarly accidental headbutt. Man, that eye just started gushing right away. I had a feeling after that they were going to have to stop it because there's no way you'll be able to, even stop that blood from going because it's soft tissue. So I was kind of disappointed it ended that way, but I had it a tie at the end of the 8th round.
That was a great fight for television, though at points it looked like both of them had gotten their master's degree from the Mr. T School of Boxing. Holy cow. Those were some wild hooks. At one point early in the fight, Pascal threw a hook, and I fell off my couch. Poor Joey Janela landed on his head, and they scored the round for Canelo. It was all of the things.
That sounds about right.
Earlier in the evening, junior middleweight whale Lucky Boy, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Amatoso scored a 3rd-round TKO over former middleweight title challenger Curtis the Cerebral Assassin Stevens.
That was not a competitive fight.
Whoa, he knocked him from pillar to post. I haven't seen a guy fall down that much. Jesus Christ.
Since the last Joey Janela match?
That's the one. I was afraid to hit that joke twice in a row, but thank you. Thank you for doing
Much
it for
like
me.
Look, no one's afraid to hit Joey Janela too many times. Keep doing it.
This is true. Robert, I'm going to throw it to you. That first one you said was not competitive.
Not even close.
Give me a little more.
Spencer had been off for, I think, a period of a couple of years nearly 2 years at that point. I think they said over 30 months. And that kind of ring rust is a real thing. Add to that he was going down in weight for the first time, and he looked shredded, and I think he technically had a reach advantage, but he was at a significant height disadvantage. And anytime he would get close and try to just really unload. I think during the third round he unleashed a flurry, but none of it really got through the defense of Omatose. And then he just kept leaving openings, and Omatose was not afraid to either do full-on pitch and catch and just wait for him to be done and then counter him, or just punch with him and just get to the target faster and drop him. I mean, he dropped him in every round. There was only a 3-round fight. It only went 3 rounds, so not the fourth, but would have been the third. It was the round when the fight was stopped. He just came out and went. Spencer came out and just threw caution to the wind, threw a massive flurry along the ropes, but none of it really landed. And then Omatose just clobbered him with another right, dropped him, and the ref decided, you know what? I don't think we need to see you take any more brain damage this evening, sir.
Yeah.
You're done. Sit down, sir. Earlier in the day on ESPN Plus, we had Conlon versus Ruiz. WBO, WBA, and IBF featherweight Michael Conlon scored a 9th-round TKO over Diego Alberto El Perfecta Ruiz over in Belfast. Did you have a chance to watch this fight, Victor?
I did not, actually. I missed that one.
Robert, did you catch any of the Conlon fight?
I caught the first couple of rounds and immediately realized what was going to happen and decided to spare myself.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I didn't miss anything.
Watch any like 2-round stretch of that fight. The whole fight looks like that. His corner should have stopped it earlier because there was no point in continuing. But hey, let's let him get a few more rounds of getting hit repeatedly. He has no chance of winning.
And finally, Friday afternoon over on DAZN in good old Liverpool, middleweight Anthony Fowler returned with a wide points win over Brian Rose with scores of 98-92, 98-92, and 97-93. So if you have DAZN and you weren't working like I wasn't, you watched a fairly entertaining fight. It was fine. All right, Victor, let's talk about our main event here. Kownacki versus Arreola. How do you see this fight going? Who do you like? What's the strategy here for the favorite, Adam Aronofsky? Jesus Christ. Adam Kownacki.
Your Polish is showing, Mark, which is to say you don't have any.
I don't take notes, people. It's all off the cuff.
Yeah, hopefully my Puerto Rican don't start showing. Well, I have it. I'm going for Adam Kownacki. I did watch some of his fights. He's undefeated. He's 19-0. He's coming off a TKO win on the second round against Gerald Washington. The one thing I love about Adam is his left hook and the fact that he does play on the body. He does wear his opponents down. So his left hook is going to be key in this particular fight, and that left hook to the body, which works so well, especially when he sets it up with that jab. I mean, he comes in with that jab to the head a few times, gets the opponent to put their hands up, and then boom, left hook right to the body. They never see it coming. It's so quick. With Arreola, he's going to have to be careful and make sure that he stops that left hook from Adam. And if you notice as well, the tricky part with stopping that left hook is always paying attention of his overhand right. This man has a great overhand right after he throws that left hook, comes right just slightly above. Even if you throw a jab to counter, he comes right slightly above the right, with his overhand right, and nails it every single time. So while defending that left hook, he's going to have to be careful with, Kownacki following that up with that right, overhand right. He seems to land it every single time and right on the money. He's very accurate with it. We'll see if this game plan for Adam works on Arreola and if he doesn't, wear him out at that body. And I only see this fight going 3 rounds. And I'm calling 2-minute mark on the third round, and I have it for Kownacki via TKO.
Let's flip to the other side here. This has been a year of some pretty significant underdog come from behind wins. I mean, Ruiz Jr. ended up beating Anthony Joshua. Nobody saw that coming. Joshua was supposed to.
That's true.
Nobody was. He was supposed to walk through that guy, and he ended up walking off into the woods to live deliberately. We don't know what happened to Anthony Joshua.
He went into rehab. Let's not kid ourselves about this.
So, what does Chris Arreola have to do to continue this streak? What does he have to do to turn this around for himself? Robert.
Oh. I mean, I hate to say get lucky. There's a couple of things about this that really do kind of work that can be made to work in his favor. If he fights long, he might have a shot because Kownacki's big advantage over most of the heavyweight division right now is he's developed over the last couple of years into a very slick infighter. He might be the best. He's probably the best infighter in the heavyweight division right now, which is, bear in mind, being a little bit like the world's tallest midget. It's not a very tall hurdle to clear, but it is still something to use to your advantage. And he's going to be looking to exploit that, especially against Arreola, who's not a very technical fighter, and who's probably going to let him close the distance. I think Arreola might be really trying to force a straight-up brawl here, because if he can get Kownacki into not being technical on the inside, into not trying to hit and move, into not beating up his body and then exiting on an angle, he might be able to catch him with something. But Arreola's never been a great fighter. He's been a good fighter for intermittent periods of his career, but he tends to get trotted out into positions like this to make somebody else look good. And Kownacki's been making noise for a while now about wanting to fight Deontay Wilder. And given how he's developed his skills, again, the infighting in particular, that's not as crazy a proposition as it used to be.
Okay. I'm going to throw it back to you, Victor. He talked about, as Robert said, wanting to fight Deontay Wilder. Is that if he wins this fight, and the money says that he does, is that who you see next for Deontay Wilder? Do you see somebody else maybe? Because I think Deontay Wilder wants a different fight, and I think Tyson Fury just signed with somebody else. So the heavyweight division's a bit of a mess. But
boxing's a bit of a mess.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they've lost so many fans over the last few years. I mean, they almost lost me too when they started just doing horrible calls. And
that's where our joke about we score rounds for Canelo came from.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just it was crazy how just ridiculously obvious it got. But hey, I stuck with it. But yeah, I mean, it's that's you're absolutely right about the heavyweight. They need to bring some sort of substance and some sort of order to the division. And it's a great division. I would love for the spotlight to come back on the heavyweight because, I mean, I remember even growing up, the heavyweight was where it was at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Robert knows I have a fetish for heavyweights, no matter what sport it is.
Yeah, you have inflicted that upon me a couple of times.
But
hopefully in a positive way.
Look, when Andy Ruiz got the title from Anthony Joshua, I called they need to make Deontay Wilder versus Ruiz Jr. in Dallas, right at Cowboy Stadium. I know that it's called something else now. I think it's AT&T Stadium. But they need to do that fight in Texas today. And then I think both of them ended up deciding they wanted to fight somebody else. So who the hell knows?
Well, hang on. Anthony Joshua has his immediate rematch clause. And in fairness, and hang on. And if you're Ruiz Jr., if you can at all get that fight to not take place in the UK, do it. There is some shady stuff going on. Not a joke. There was an event last week, and one of the boxers...
Oh, Dylan White.
Yeah. He
won his fight and immediately popped positive, and it was what did you sign with the UFC or something? What's going on here?
Hold on. Not only did he pop positive, not only did he fail the drug test, the commission knew he'd already failed the test.
Wait, I got another one. What are you working out? What are you working out with John Jones these days? Huh? I got a million of them. Go ahead,
That's
Robert.
really not the most... Look, you should... Come on. Chael Sonnen reference is right there.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's why he left and had to go to another promotion.
Yeah, he's in Bellator now, so who knows what's going on with Chael Sonnen?
He retired officially.
Okay.
Anyway, so not only did he fail his drug test, Not only did the commission know he failed his drug test prior to the fight, they did not inform his opponent.
Wait, that was prior to the fight? That's a detail that escaped me.
Yes.
I thought it was afterwards that they found out.
No, they released the information after the fight.
Oh, Jesus
They
Christ.
knew about it.
Yep.
They did not allow his corner to check White's wrappings or to be present for that, or to check his gloves. They complained. Again, there's a lot of shady crap that went on with that situation. Again, if I'm Anthony Ruiz Jr., I do whatever I can to make sure that rematch does not take place in England.
Yeah, that would be the smart money. All right,
That's what is going on.
As we see the walkouts finally taking place, we're almost underway here. I want to go over the schedule real quick. Coming up next weekend, Pat Mullen returns to the analysis desk. I think you're busy, aren't you, Robert? You've got Shevchenko's fight.
I don't know when it starts, but I assume. I mean, it's in Uruguay, so given the relative time, it's probably going to be set loosely on East Coast time. So I probably will not be free.
Right. So it'll be just myself and Pat. Frampton comes alive, baby dolls. Call Frampton versus Emmanuel Dominguez will be on, I believe, ESPN Plus, coming right at you from Philadelphia. We'll do coverage for that. On DAZN, sometime around the same time, we've got Antonio Orozco versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. August 17th, we will be doing... Robert's going to try to do coverage for 411 and do a watch-along podcast with me for Stipe Miocic versus Dan Cormier 2.
Probably going to go badly, but tune in for the car wreck.
Yes. Please tune in for the shit show. It'll be fantastic. And we'll never do it again.
I don't know. We might be surprised.
No. Us trying to do him trying to do written coverage and watch it and talk to me at the same time. That's what we think is going to go badly. I'm sure the card will be just fine.
Wait. Cormier Miocic too?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm still waiting on Pettis to pull out of that fight because Anthony Pettis.
Yeah. Or one of the Diaz brothers to get himself arrested.
It would take something like that, but when Nate signs on the dotted line, he tends to show up. Romero and Costa's all right. That's not a very strong
Soldier
card,
of God. That was reason enough for me to buy the pay-per-view other than Boom Heavyweights. Love me some Yoel Romero.
Romero is awesome.
He is.
Benitez and Sadiq Youssef, and they're pushing Youssef pretty hard. Brunson and Heinisch, Brunson sucks. Drakkar Klose and Christos Yagos, that's a gimme for Klose. Rafael Assunção and Corey Sandhagen's actually a really good fight. Sandhagen's ascension likely to continue, but that's a stiff test. Poliana Botella's opponent fell out, but it's women's flyweight, so who cares? Manny Bermudez and Casey Kenny's a nothing fight. Devontae Smith doesn't have an opponent anymore. Oh, Mr. Perfect! Kyung Ho Kong is fighting Brandon Davis. That's a pretty easy fight for Kong, actually.
Fantastic. August 17th, we've got over on Showtime, if you're not into watching the MMA, we've got Ivana Habazin versus Clarissa Shields. And over on ESPN, we've got Emmanuel Navarrete versus Francisco de Vaca. Saturday, August 24th. I want to try to get one of these covered. We'll talk about it later. We've got Brandon Figueroa versus Javier Nicolas Chacon. That's the big one over on Fox Sports 1 is what they're telling me. Jonathan Gonzalez versus Kosei Tanaka over in Japan. Over on DAZN, we've got Juan Francisco Estrada versus Dwayne Beeman. I don't have a time for that one, but it's somewhere in Mexico. And the 31st, there's like shit tons of wrestling on, but if you're not into it, we've got Peter Quillen versus Caleb Trow over on Fox. He'll be right back here on Fox, just like we're doing now. Vasyl Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell over on ESPN Plus.
Lomachenko, best boxer in the world.
Yeah, I would have loved to have covered that one, but I'll be like right in the middle of yet another English card, NXT Cardiff.
That's actually a tough call. That Cardiff card is pretty sweet. I mean, anytime you get to see Walter just slap the crap out of somebody, it's a good time.
That's why we're doing it. And we'll have to figure this out. I don't know what's going on September 28th. Besides this, I don't have my calendar up. But Sean Purder versus Errol Spence Jr., if we don't have wrestling obligations or I'm not being dragged to something by my wife, then we will cover that for you. Could be Mr. Victor, could be Robert, could be Pat. You don't know. It'll be a surprise. It's a pinata of people I got to work with.
By which he means he likes to hit us with sticks.
Well, being the positive guy that I am, I'll take on some masochism.
Beautiful. All right, folks, I think we are about to get underway here.
Are they doing the national anthems?
I don't know. I have it on mute.
Yeah, they are.
Can we do away with this tradition, please?
I just
wait. Why don't you like those? Okay, why don't you like those traditions? Now I'm curious.
Look, if we're dealing with something where your nationality matters, if we're talking about a World Cup in soccer or the Olympic Games or anything like that, then fine, I get it. It goes along with it. I'm just not the biggest fan of grinding the broadcast and everything to a halt for 10 minutes plus a commercial break while we play national anthems, and some of which depends on the country you're from. I mean, the Argentinian national anthem goes on for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my issue with it. And I'm not a professional television producer or anything, but Fox is doing boxing and pro wrestling. I think it's October, November, September, somewhere in there. SmackDown comes to Fox, and they're doing it because it's hard to get eyeballs on commercial television right now. So what gets eyeballs is live sports. And an easy one to produce and one that usually gets eyeballs is combat sports these days. That's something they didn't have before up until recently. Obviously years ago they did, but it went away for a while and now it's back, which I'm happy about. But in any case, this is the sort of thing that loses people. This is a 2-hour broadcast. It's 5 minutes to 10 for fuck's sake. We're still not. Yeah. We still haven't started the main event yet. People go to. My wife went to bed an hour ago. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's true too. And then there's also the bathroom factor that sometimes when all this stuff is going on, and I've missed fights that just go quickly, aka McGregor and Aldo, for example. And they were doing the whole, shebang. I'm like, let me go to the restroom and just, I'll be quick. I'll come back and fight's over. I'm like, what? There's
been a few of those where you blinked, you missed it.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you get, you're trying to just get pumped up, and you're pumped up to the whole card. So then they drag everything out. Let me go use the restroom and come back, and then boom, the fight's done. You're like what the heck?
This isn't bad. Depending on how soon they finish the fight, this will be over sometime, before 11.
Yeah.
The MMA cards, when they or the boxing pay-per-views, when they drag those out, because they're going on West Coast time, and they end sometime around 1 o'clock in the morning. Ugh. I'm on energy drinks and I'm running around my house. I'm waking my kids up. I'm like, I got to stay awake.
You're lucky it's only 1 in the morning sometimes on the East Coast.
And then, you stay talking with your buddy, especially if you go and see it with somebody, you stay talking. And, I like to watch the post-fights. I don't go to bed. When it happens, sometimes I don't even sleep. I'm just like, hey, whatever. I'll just stay up for the rest of the night.
When I was doing some degree of coverage for 401 Mania, I used to stay up and watch the post-fight press conference so that I could or when I was doing the podcast, I would watch the post-fight press conference, and my God, staying up to watch that on YouTube or whatever, ugh.
It was so badly done, too. It was like, hey, we got to wait for everybody to get here, and nobody can talk. And now they just do it one at a time. They send out one guy at a time, and it's a little bit more streamlined. Plus, they also start it before the main event actually ends, so some of the guys earlier in the evening can get a little bit of time with some of the journalists.
Well, that's good, because I used to feel bad for some of them. Like, if you were in, the first fight of the main card and nobody asked you any questions, you just sit up there like an asshole. Hi, I'm Joanna Champion. Does anyone want to ask me a question? No. All right.
Exactly. They look so awkward, too.
Anytime they do those big, hey, there's 8 guys on this side and 8 guys on the other, and you can tell there's at least 2 of them on either side of the stage that are giving each other side eye, you and I are probably going to do this next, so I'm going to take this opportunity to trash you. And then we get bad MMA trash talk for 10 minutes.
All right, I think we are ready to get underway here. They've just received
Yes.
referee instructions from, was it Danny Schiavone?
Oh, hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
By the way, I don't think I answered your question earlier. I would like if Kownacki wins tonight. I would like that Wilder fight. Wilder and Kownacki. I think that would be interesting fight, and I think it would, it pique my interest. So, just wanted to answer that real quick.
All right, well, let's see what happens here as we begin round one as they square off. They started to take center ring. Kownacki, oh, Jesus Christ.
Wow, he's a minus 2,000 favorite.
Kownacki started to walk him back into the corner and immediately started throwing lefts and rights. He's pressuring him against the ropes.
He's going to the head.
Yeah, he seems to be headhunting and wanting to end this early. There's that body work you were talking about now as they take to the other side of the ring. But yeah, Arreola he's keeping him against the ropes.
A little bit of paddling the canoe there from Arreola. His punching technique is not great in close quarters.
No, not at all.
Liking the defense from Kownacki so far. He's not just dropping his hands and swinging wildly. He's protecting his head and protecting his body.
Arreola's boxing shoes looks like he has those like blue Adidas with socks on. I don't know who made that decision, but it's not a good look. He's got like the sandals and socks look.
So Kownacki just landed one to the head there, and Arreola made a face at him.
Yeah, which is just... Okay, they're giving Arreola credit for landing punches. He's not actually landing really here. Yeah. Hey, the punches landed are about even. Ooh, they are not. Yeah, there's a real...
I think Arreola did a little bit of his homework because he's actually protecting, that side from the left hook there.
He's keeping that elbow low, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that might be what's informing Kownacki's change of strategy is that Arreola's protecting his body, and so he's leaving himself open up top.
He's more trying to sneak in those body shots now when they're exiting the pocket instead of really just teeing off while they're in infighting position. Anytime they're in motion, he tries to sneak that one as Arreola is trying to circle away.
If Kownacki fights Andy Ruiz Jr., do you think it'll be sponsored by Weight Watchers?
No.
That's a shot at both of those guys' bodies everywhere, and I'm body shaming.
The funny part is Kownacki actually went out defending heavier guys because he was getting criticized over his body, and he's saying, "Hey, us chubby guys can fight too."
They certainly can, by golly.
Yeah, he's really starting to get that left hook to the body going now, and Arreola's getting a little bit more active because I think he can sense that that's going to be a problem for him. So if he's going to change the tenor of the fight, he has to do it quickly.
So there was some brawling in the corner there. There were some good hook exchanges between the two fighters. Arreola's standing up to Kownacki.
That one was good.
Yeah, he got a straight there right as the round ended. All right, I think that's a pretty safe 10-9 for Kownacki.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And curse my broadcast here because I am about 10 seconds behind you guys because no one cares if Utah gets broadcast time at the same time as everyone else.
Really? We're on terrestrial television and you still can't keep up with the same time as me?
It happened. Well, I'm also watching it on my computer, so there might be a bit of a...
That's probably where the lag is coming from.
But yeah, there's still a bit of a delay there. That's a bit annoying. But so my apologies if I react on occasion to things that have already happened. I will try to censor myself as far as that goes.
Fine.
Also, we've had some pretty serious thunderstorms here off and on all day, so there might be some of that's affecting things.
All right. So this kid that's in the Geico commercial, and I have to talk about this.
If they're playing commercials, we're going to talk about them.
Boy, does he get a lot of work now. It's the same acting. It's the same character, but he gets a lot of work. All right, we're back into it as they show some highlights from the previous round, and they are right back to brawling.
Yeah,
keeps getting back into the ropes.
Arreola's footwork isn't great to begin with, and he just doesn't really know how to circle an angle away from the pressure of Kownacki as he's coming forward. And neither of these guys are built for, the full 12 rounds, so you may as well get after it fast.
And I would say Kownacki does have a better stamina than Arreola does. So in the later rounds, I
might have better stamina than Arreola does.
Mm-hmm. He needs to get on his fitness there a little bit. But he's also 38 years old, so in fight.
Respect for the old guy getting after it.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm 38 too, so I'm talking from that perspective and my perspective.
Yeah, you can see Arreola trying to make this a brawl, but he's not getting Kownacki to abandon the proper infighting technique, and that's really what's kind of being his undoing so far. Because Arreola's, again, abandoning elements of proper defense, proper hand position.
What a clubbing right that was from Kownacki. I mean, none of these are really hitting the button and knocking Arreola's face in, but he's taken some hard shots now, and Kownacki has definitely been laying in some pretty impressive hooks and straight rights.
He's got the old Polish clubbing power, and I don't just mean that as all Polish people have that, but there's thudding power and there's stopping power, and all different different bits of terminology.
He's also hitting him with the full front of the glove, as opposed to like the Deontay Wilder shote, as Pat would call it.
Great googly moogly, which I'm sure has made its way into commentary at some point.
Deontay Wilder, what do you think of this fight? Gadzooks!
I was going to set up a bit earlier where I'd say we were patched into Deontay Wilder's feed, and then occasionally just ask for Wilder's comment and have you just go, well, great googly moogly, and we just keep going.
Okay, Victor, you wanted to break in with some actual boxing analysis other than our standard comedy on Deontay Wilder?
No, I mean, the guy's on point. I really like what he's doing. His jab, how he sets everything up, with his jab. And that's my favorite punch personally as well. So whenever somebody, takes up for it and actually sets things up for it, I'm always a fan.
Yeah.
If Arreola had any sort of power in his right hand in close, he'd have done some damage by now, because Kownacki has just started leaving his left basically at his hip because he's not afraid of that counterpunch.
Well, I was going to say, neither guy's footwork is particularly impressive. I mean, when you talk about boxing in terms of not letting the other guy hit you, the Mayweather special, neither one of them are doing that. They are literally standing in the pocket. And yes, they're using some degree of defense. You're seeing punches land on the forearms and such. But
there's a lot of rolling with punches going on too, but they're not really avoiding offense in the traditional sense of the word.
No, it's a good television fight. The guys are leaning in and punching each other in the head and body. But in terms of traditional boxing goes, yikes.
Mark, you asked a while ago, I think when we covered Tyson Fury's last fight, why people think Tyson Fury's the best heavyweight in the world. Do I have to show you the rest of the division for you to understand why people feel that way?
Yes, no, I understand that for a heavyweight, that man's got dancing feet. He looks like
in fairness, for at least two divisions lower than him, he's got really good mobility.
Comparatively speaking, Tyson Fury looks like he just got off the set of the Thriller video. That's an old reference, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm a little bit embarrassed for you.
Hey, is it awkward that I'm moonwalking over here?
No, not at all, sir. And we are back. We are in round 3 of 12 of this heavyweight main event here on the Fox terrestrial broadcast, as we see Kownacki leading with his left jab.
Here we go. You know what I think it's going on too in there is I think both of their emotions are running up really high because, there's the round I called too, by the way. There's the round I called, TKO, Kownacki.
That was a nice uppercut that led that flurry off.
But Arreola said after this, if he doesn't win, he's retiring, and he's going home and he's staying home. And Kownacki, this is, it could definitely elevate him to the top of this division. So they're both hungry for different reasons. And so I think there's a lot of emotions going on as well, and that's where a lot of the brawling, I believe, is coming from. A lot of the, the standing and brawling instead of sticking to just conventional tactical boxing.
I like the use of the uppercut between these two because they're both doing it. They're both kind of leaning, hunched over. They're not fighting tall, and they're both utilizing the uppercut as a good weapon. I don't know how much power either one of them are putting behind it, but boy, are they using it pretty effectively.
If you look at their feet, the answer is not very much power.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of just bringing it from the shoulder instead of kind of digging and springing or turning your hip into it.
Yeah, they're both kind of boxing like when I do drills with my 5-year-old.
Yes. Yeah, they're flat-footed too, man. Look at those feet, man. Flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think they're very aware that this is a television fight, and Kownacki is trying to get a shot at Deontay Wilder, and if he's going to do that, I think he does need a degree of larger fan support because most people don't even know who he is. So he's trying to. I think. Yeah, I agree with you. In addition to the emotions running high, I think he's making a somewhat tactical decision to fight a little bit more fan friendly, so that there will be a bit of people wanting to actually see the fight instead of just the standard machine turning over and it being his turn.
Okay,
That's a great point.
We're gonna throw it out to my wife who has entered the room. Hey, who's winning on Sex and the City 2?
No one.
I'm making a joke. Oh, so Sex and the City 2 is so bad even you turned it off? Fantastic. We'll see you later.
It's so bad.
Well, I can't even.
I have an aunt who I love dearly, but has terrible taste in movies, and who also believes that Joe Montana is the best quarterback in NFL history. So look, I love her dearly, but she's wrong about just about everything.
All right,
she is not really big on Sex in the City too.
That is the end of round 3. I would say so far all 3 rounds would go to Kownacki, but it's hard. It's hard to say at this point what the judges are thinking. Let me throw it over to you, Rob.
They're thinking 30-27 Canelo.
Well, I didn't see that one coming.
Nobody
Let's
sees Canelo coming.
Into a bigger house. Oh, wait, I said the loud part soft and the soft part loud.
So there we see a replay of that uppercut again that I was talking about. So, we're going into round 4, and Arreola is still in the fight. He's staying in the pocket with Kownacki. They are definitely trading. I just think Kownacki's edging him out a bit.
And that gap is widening round by round. Kownacki's winning each round by a wider margin than he did the previous one. This is not a very good trajectory for Arreola, who also looks like he's about to throw up between rounds.
Yeah. He looks really tired.
That would make for some great television.
It's happened before. That would not be the first time.
Uh-huh.
All right, so Kownacki is now stalking Arreola. Arreola this time...
that was a nice overhand right by Arreola.
It was. That was. Kownacki was trying to find a spot, and he got caught. He just got caught checking out Arreola.
Uh-huh.
Well, who among us hasn't? If I might make the traditional word pun.
Yeah, one punch can change anything in boxing, too. You can have a guy that's you think is about to get knocked out. He comes up with a punch from hell and just knocks the other guy out cold.
Yeah, ask Marcus Brown.
Deontay Wilder made a career out of it.
Yeah.
Shote!
I felt so bad for poor Bobo Brazil.
How was your podcast, Victor? I don't know. One guy kept yelling Shote, and they have a real thing with Deontay Wilder. Anyway,
Arreola is just so flat. Again, neither guy has great footwork, but man, he just gets backed straight into the ropes so consistently. So Kownacki's not even really cutting him off.
So I was concerned for Kownacki. Not at all. I was concerned for Kownacki's wind at this point. I wasn't quite sure if he was starting to get lethargic as the fight was going on. We definitely talked about Arreola looking like he was sucking a bit of wind, but Kownacki didn't look that great in between rounds either in terms of that. But I'm seeing he's keeping his defense up. He's not dropping his hands. So, maybe he's deceptively still, as far as conditioning goes, still in the fight.
I mean, neither of these guys are, again, they're not really built for the full distance they're heavyweights. There's only a handful of heavyweights who actually are built to go, 10 full rounds or whatever it happens to be, 10 or 12, depending on the circumstance.
Yeah. Vladimir Klitschko made a career of it.
Yeah, just being in significantly better condition and laughing at you as you tried to hit him and missed.
Yes, that was a guy who was hard to hit in the heavyweight division. And
you know what I'm noticing that Arreola is exploiting on Kownacki is he's dropping his left hand a lot. And Arreola, even though he's coming, with those little short right hands, he's exploiting that weakness there from Kownacki. There he goes again.
Yeah.
I
was going to say he's made effective use of the straight right in this round.
This has been Arreola's best round so far. I still don't think he's winning it at the moment, but it's been his best.
Glancing hook there from Arreola. Would have been nasty if it actually hit the target. Go ahead, Victor.
No, I just saw that left hook coming in from Kownacki and came right across and grazed Arreola's chin. If it would have caught him just on the button, man, that could have been it. I'm just saying. So that's why you heard me gasp a little bit, like.
I'll tell you what, though,
that body work from Kownacki is really starting to pile up.
Yeah, it always does, and that's one of the things that he's been really effective with. It's just just wearing the guy down to the point where 6th, 7th, 8th ground, the other guy is they kind of lose because they're winded. They kind of start losing their will to continue with the whole brawling, and then he just takes advantage of them dropping their hands to protect the body so they can keep their breath in their body and just takes them out.
But yeah, that hand position for Kownacki's left has been really low all fight, and Arreola has been keying in on it over the last couple of rounds.
Mm-hmm. And I think he drops it because he's wanting to throw that, he wants to prepare for that left hook, but that's not good. Good strategy.
All right. We move into round 5 of 12 of our heavyweight main event here on Fox. And they are head-to-head brawling in the center of the ring. Kownacki not able to walk him back. In fact, quite the opposite. It looks like Arreola's starting to back him into the ropes.
Yeah.
And they are just trading punches. We've got what they used to call on Showtime an action fight.
Well, a slow-motion action fight.
It was not too bad. I mean, for where these guys are at, I actually don't think it's been that bad. I thought it would, especially from Arreola, I thought it'd be a lot slower.
No, this has been entertaining. This is good television so far.
Yeah, I think both guys are also they're trying to win a few fans over more generally as well as just win the fight. Like, hey, look, I exist and I'm exciting, and you should be interested in my fighting career.
I was talking to somebody about this earlier. Might have actually been on the podcast where you had the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, and you had casual viewers who watched that and just went, I don't understand what happened here. This is the most boring thing ever. And if you're a boxing person, you know what you're looking for. You saw it, and it was great. But if you're the casual viewer and you're just wanting to see people hit each other in the head, it was 12 rounds of what the fuck.
Look, if you're the casual viewer just wanting to see that, you bought Mayweather McGregor, and I can't help you as a human being at that point.
And what fun was had for $100?
I was one of those guys that supported it.
Oh yeah, we all went to my buddy's house for that.
I watched it because I had to cover it. I had no interest in it outside of that.
Yes, you covered it for the MMA site, as I recall.
Look, there's not a boxing section anymore. Okay, what do you want from me?
All right.
Yeah, that whole fight was a joke.
All right, we see Kownacki, as you said, going for the body. I'm not sure.
Arreola's finding much more success as this fight goes on. I'm a little surprised. Somewhere in that last round or so, things kind of turned a corner for him.
Maybe he got like.
Go ahead.
Oh no! I'm just gonna say maybe he got like what's here about those runners.
The second wind.
The second wind, yeah. Maybe that he just caught his second wind, that runner's high.
Could be.
Kownacki's looking a little dark around the eyes, and I don't think he came.
He's taken a lot of punches. I mean, not the hardest punches in the world, but he's taken a significant number of them to the face.
Yeah, he just took a clean one right to the face. I mean, the guy's got a chin on him, no doubt about that. But he's definitely taken a lot of punishment. He's not cut as such, but yeah, it looks like he's taken a number of hits to the face, clean hits to the face.
So what do you think if he were to fight Wilder like that? Do you think he'd be able to take his punches, like his chin be strong enough to take them?
No. Not if he took them like this. Deontay Wilder, I don't consider Deontay Wilder a great boxer. His footwork's not great. His punches aren't great. But if I have to get someone who's going to punch, an elk that's charging at me angrily, I want Deontay Wilder to punch it. He's got that kind of power.
But we talked about this in the last Deontay Wilder fight. We've never seen somebody use less of his reach besides Stefan Struve. Someone has to get into his training camp and be like, hey, you're like 9 feet tall and your reach is about the size of a Boeing 747. Try using it once in a while.
He does have an impressive wingspan that, again, he just doesn't use.
No, that's the thing. Like his thing is he likes to land those one punch hooks to knock a guy out. And
it's just the same reason he never throws more than 2 punches at a time.
Right. No, instead of winning fights by getting behind his jab and looking for a place to land a straight or a hook with the right, he just wings these hooks that because he's got a lot of power behind them, if they land, they kill you, but they got to land first.
Well, I mean, he spent 12 rounds with Tyson Fury. He managed to land all of 2 punches.
That's about right. That might have been the fight I was referring to, as a matter of fact. All right, so we are back here in round 6. We are halfway into this main event fight here on Fox, as I think both fighters are really starting to slow down. Now, that's one of the first clinches I've seen in the entire fight.
Yeah, they're just doing a lot of, all right, we're going to lean on each other. We're still going to punch, but can you take a bit of let's just lean on each other and we'll reduce some of the load on our bodies.
Christ,
use physics to our...
Turn the lights off and throw blood on both of them. You've got the opening scene to Rocky.
No.
Except in the little worse shape.
I was going to say, at least Sylvester Stallone got into something approximating 1970s fight shape.
Yeah.
Arreola.
These
guys are more like hockey fight shape.
Speaking of hockey fights, yeah, they're doing a lot. If this ends in a headbutt, I'm going to be very upset.
I would love that. At this point, Arreola's eyes are starting to swell up a little bit and discolor. Those shots from Kownacki are starting to get through a little bit.
So we're seeing a lot of arm punches. Like, not really, like you said, the footwork is just gone. Their feet are there just keeping them upright, but that's about it. So we're getting a lot of arm punches being thrown. Not a tremendous amount of power I'm seeing from either guy, but this is a war of attrition is what's happening. They're breaking each other down, and while I would not say that Arreola is winning on points, if this keeps going all 12 rounds, both of them are going to be pretty beat up by the end of this fight.
Look, they're going to have to bust out the oxygen tank between rounds for these two guys after another 3 rounds.
Well, even not Ariel, I'm sorry. Even Kownacki admitted that he kind of took it easy on his training camp for this particular fight, and he didn't really stick to the nutrition plan that they had planned for him for this fight. And I mean, it shows.
Just like his belly button. Which for the record, you should never see in a boxing match. You should never be able to. Your trunk should go over that. If they don't,
these two are starting to look like me when I mow the lawn. I have to keep pulling up my shorts.
If I might quote the great Scott Steiner, he's fat.
That's a wrestling joke, everybody.
Had to get it off the bingo card.
All right, and a hook ends that round from Kownacki.
Yeah, Kownacki's still winning the rounds by and large, but this is probably one of those fights that's going to get a bit of a standing ovation and a lot of donks who just go, yeah, that was such great fun, and anyone with a functional brain or knowledge of the sport of boxing goes, yeesh.
Keep going for a sec, okay? I gotta walk away for a minute.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
it's going
how
to
do
be
you
great for the highlight reels.
That's true. This will go. This will. They will be able to slot in some nice, clips of this fight to try and get you excited for one of these guys fighting again, whoever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you have this scored through? I believe that was the 6th round that just ended.
Hold on, let me go back. Let me go to my scorecards here. I got, let's see, Kownacki 10, 20, 40, 50. Kownacki. I got Kownacki on all the rounds, winning here. So I got him at 10s all through the 6th round at 60 here. And me bust on my calculator here. 254. There we go.
All right, we are back in round 7. Go ahead, Robert.
I'm gonna say I think I gave Arreola one of them, so I would be. Would that be 59, 57? 59, 56, one of those two. My math's a little bit off these days.
Hey man, I had to bust out that calculator. I'm not even ashamed to say it.
All right, Kownacki back to stalking Arreola and backing up into the ropes. And here's my problem, though. Kownacki does that, and then Arreola, at this point in the game, because Kownacki is so winded, is just kind of walking out of the ropes, and Kownacki's like, "You may pass, sir."
Yeah, he's not even trying to really take an angle after step and pivot. He's just walking. Kownacki's like, "Yeah, all right. I'll follow you over here now.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll follow you over here. Then I'll follow you over here."
Yeah, this is lesson 1 of ballroom dancing.
You're gonna your footsteps go where my footsteps have gone. So da. Don't step on my toes. And we are very clearly doing not even the quick step. This is the Viennese waltz.
Yeah.
Kownacki digging into the body again. On the hazard card, they gave round 5 to Arreola. Otherwise,
I think that's the one I gave him.
Yeah, otherwise, for all you math majors, it's 59-55.
Well, that's interesting. I thought, if any, maybe the 2nd round was for Arreola, but that's interesting.
It was one of the more recent ones that I thought he had won. So, 5. God, my math is so bad. Yeah,
Gotta bust out those times tables chart.
And welcome to the Radulich Broadcasting Network. We ain't got time for math.
Well, Mark is an avowed proponent of the burning of books as well, so we don't know quite what we offer here.
Oh man! Now I think
it's the first time we've met this guy. I told you, behave. Shut up. Anyway, you were saying, Victor.
No, Kownacki was starting to.
Go ahead.
Oh, no worries, man. That Kownacki was starting to kind of lean on Arreola, which is never a good sign, man. That means his tank is kind of depleting there. He sure stuck to that protein, man.
That's what I said before. I said, he with each round he's slowing down more and more, and not, he came after Arreola early on with a lot of aggression, and now I feel like he's putting in the punches, he's digging into the body here and there, but I don't see a lot of fire here. I see a lot of, I've probably won most of the rounds, so as long as they don't get knocked out, I've won the fight. Next, please.
I mean, look, I've seen more compelling versions of this fight all across the streets of New York when you get, the Polish guy and the Mexican guy who just can't see eye to eye, and like, okay, we're going to throw down.
Just a lot more exciting.
Well, they tend to end faster.
This is true. There's nobody contractually obligating them to stay for an hour.
Exactly. But you know what, though? The only thing with boxing, I mean, you still got to watch out for those judges, because a lot of times, people and fighters make the mistake of thinking, hey, I got this fight, and, the corner sometimes kind of, sets up bad expectations in their minds, and they kind of start coasting towards the end of the rounds, and the other guy picks up, and all of a sudden they lose the whole fight because they coasted towards the end. So you gotta, I'm not a fan of leaving fights to judges because you never know what they're thinking and how they're really scoring it.
You should never take, if you have to take a round off to get your win back, you do what you need to do, but you should never take off more than a round or you end up giving the whole fight to Canelo.
Even if you don't, even if you do genuinely win every round, you still give the fight to Canelo if you're not the next Mexican star that they feel comfortable.
Have I ever told you my favorite promo is the bit where Canelo was on the horse, and I think that was for the Mayweather fight. Oh, that was fantastic. I wish they had not only had him on the horse, but had him like hog-tying people and saving damsel in distress from train tracks.
Look, Vladimir Putin did it better.
This is true.
Yeah.
And look, Mayweather might have actually gone along with being the mustache twirly villain who ties the girl to the train tracks, just because he'll do anything to sell a fight.
He would too.
His suit would have been made of money, though, as was his top hat.
Oh yes.
All right, back to the fight. I warned you we were a little jokey.
No, hey, just put it all out there. I can handle it. I can handle it, guys.
All right, we see
that left hook of Kownacki is starting to come back into being a thing instead of just a bunch of arm punches at close distance. He's clipped Arreola in the face with it a couple of times. It was a pretty decent one, too,
I've seen them clinch more this round than I haven't seen the whole fight, though, which worries me.
Yeah, we've reached the point now where you're going to get a good minute and a half or so of them actually moving and doing stuff before their legs go away and they start hugging again.
Yep.
But that's the thing, though. I think this could swing Arreola's way, even towards finishing the fight, if this starts to go the way of some dirty boxing, a lot of punching in the clinch. If he starts to take away his body and his legs in the clinch, Kownacki's going to have a hell of a time.
I mean, in fairness, he has body to lose, so...
This is true.
You're welcome to take it.
God, what? Kownacki just did a thing where I thought he was more flexing muscle than he was throwing a punch. It was the slowest uppercut I've ever seen.
That was not the slowest uppercut you've ever seen. It was just a very markedly slow uppercut.
Which one will be the slowest one?
One that actually landed and won a fight, but was still pretty slow. This is in the Wayback Machine for MMA fans, but the uppercut Jeremy Stevens used to knock out Rafael dos Anjos was horribly telegraphed, but it worked.
Yeah. It was. I think that could be along the same lines as Anderson Silva's karate kick.
So, Victor, you're into MMA as well. You still watch it?
Oh yeah. I missed. I was kind of disappointed though that I missed the Lawler fight though, because I'm a Lawler fan, and he's down in Florida.
Don't watch it.
Oh really?
I mean this in all sincerity. If you're a fan of Robbie Lawler, that fight will just frustrate you.
Yeah, the two best parts of that fight were Colby Covington walking out to Kurt Angle's music and the crowd chanting back, "You suck."
True.
And the second part was
watching
him tackle Robbie Lawler like they were doing football drills.
Yeah. Was he taking him down the whole fight?
He won. Colby won that fight.
Like 50-45.
54. There was one 50-44, which I didn't agree with. I don't know which round would have been 10-8 under the old rule set, which is what New Jersey uses. He didn't take him down the whole fight. He took him down for the first couple of rounds, and then Lawler just... I don't know, man. Lawler's legs were just not under him that fight. He got outboxed for a couple of rounds in close proximity. So, again, if you're a big fan...
It was no Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, where Jesus Christ, everything how Max Holloway threw got everything he threw got through Frankie Edgar's defenses. It was like phenomenal to watch.
But in fair, again, Colby Covington did I believe attempt a record high number of strikes for a UFC fight. He attempted 533 strikes over the course of that fight.
Wow.
Which is an absurd pace, especially for a guy weighing, come fight time, probably around 200 pounds.
Oh, yeah, easy. Well, all right, so I'll maybe, I don't know, man. I mean, I might still watch it, but I'll go in with
I'm
better
just warning you. If you're going in for just being a big Robbie Lawler fan, you might be deeply frustrated. But there's some decent stuff to watch.
All right, speaking of deeply frustrated, here we are in round 9 of 12, and Kownacki has decided to wake up. The prince has kissed him. He's come alive.
The last 3 rounds that he kind of took off are now paying off, and he's ready to fight again.
Yeah, he is now throwing with some authority. He landed a few there right on Arreola's chin, and Arreola shook him off, but he wasn't thrilled about it.
Yeah, Arreola's doing a lot more backing up now, and not backing up to try and walk him onto something, or just backing up away from pressure. A little bit more like, oh boy, I don't like this anymore.
Oh, there's a bear coming at him, throwing just throwing paws at him.
This would be more interesting if one of them were a bear.
Yeah, I don't know. Kownacki kind of looks like he could be one.
He's not hairy enough.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, I misspoke. I apologize.
I mean, I can't speak for his personal life, where he might assume that role in some capacity, but
that would
as
have
far
been
as in the cage,
that would have been a great way to sell this: Arreola versus Fuzzy Wuzzy.
The one thing that frustrates me when I watch a boxing match is, talking about Arreola moving backwards, is when I was doing some training in boxing, my coach was really adamant that when I go back, I keep my jab going as I'm moving backwards, especially if the guy's kind of charging after you. So when I see boxers start going back and not just not throwing anything, just going back when the guy's moving forward and attacking, it's just I get so frustrated. I'm like, you're a professional, come on.
So Arreola just got his bell rung. Kownacki laid in a hook. He shook it off, but he kind of did that kind of a thing. And Kownacki continued to pressure the attack. He's still on his feet, but
Arreola went a little bit. He went a little bit wobbly there too. He didn't just do the get my head back, but he had to do the running man to get my legs back under me.
Dad turned off some of the lights in the house. They're not all on at this point.
Yeah. Did you see what just happened with Kownacki? He was, I think, he was looking out at the time, and he got clocked.
Yeah. Arreola has found a few moments of success here. Yeah, you've really got to be mindful of what you're watching.
So, just as an aesthetic thing, as a television thing, Kownacki should stop look like he's in there at gunpoint.
I mean, I could make a joke about him. I could make a joke about him being Polish, as far as that goes, but
no, stop that. Kownacki looks like sometimes you see like a fighter who's very aware of the camera. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, both of them definitely played to the camera. Definitely was like, I won that round, even if they didn't. They still offered an air of authority, an air of like, hey, I'm still in this fight. Kownacki looks like when this is over, he's going to be marched into a prison cell.
And Arreola looks like he's going to be marched to the hospital.
He's probably going to the hospital. But Arreola at least looks like he's still in this fight. Kownacki's just like, I don't want to go to school anymore.
I mean, look, some of it's just... I imagine some of it's just kind of cultural. There's a lot of that kind of just Slavic stoicism.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that, but I'm not getting Slavic stoicism. I'm getting, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, I mean, it's the 10th round of a heavyweight fight. He probably doesn't.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what's crazy? I gave that last round to Arreola.
I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, that is a little crazy.
Kownacki starting this round off very conservatively. Arreola is starting to press in on the action now. He landed a couple of good rights there.
Arreola does not have another 2 rounds in him of really good work. I think he's going to try to get a round and a half in. He'll try to put some good work in for this round and about the first half of the next, and then just kind of pray not to get finished in the 12th.
Well, he's got to know that he hasn't won this thing on points, and so with only 2 rounds left to go, this is where he's got to start throwing some hard punches, see what he can do, if he can get a knockdown, possibly even a knockout. This is where the anxiety and the pressure need to start taking effect in the fighter that's losing. there's this. What drives me nuts in a lot of these fights is you know you're behind on the cards, and yet you're not really fighting with a tremendous amount of urgency. So I'm hoping Arreola starts to turn it on in these next 2 rounds, and he just doesn't sleepwalk to the end of the fight. Meanwhile, Kownacki has him backed up against the ropes again.
Yeah.
To the shock of, wait for it, no one.
You know what sometimes I think too is, he's been talking a lot about retirement leading up to this fight. So I'm wondering if maybe he just in his mind kind of set himself up to maybe expect not to take this one and just ride off into the sunset.
Just
entirely possible.
Give enough of a performance to not get embarrassed.
Uh-huh.
That's entirely possible.
By heavyweight standards.
Stop it.
No. Look, this is already an embarrassment if we're comparing him to any sort of division or fighter with technical prowess, but we compare him to heavyweights.
I think Arreola just threw a pretty good elbow there. Wrong sport, but but a nice elbow nonetheless.
I mean, if you can get away with it. Look, they've both been kind of doing the old cheeky nodder, too, if you're British.
Yeah.
Especially the last couple of rounds, whenever they get close, they're both trying to get their head lower and be the one that takes the impact on the top of the head rather than on the face.
Which, again, not a great strategy.
Kownacki's marching Arreola around the ring right up until Arreola decided to brush him back in the last seconds of the round.
The old please remember the last seconds and not the previous 2.5 minutes strategy for winning a round.
Well, he just kind of booby bumped him, kind of shoulder shimmied. There were no punches thrown, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Oh man, look at him.
You see what I'm talking about, Victor? In
Yeah.
those eyes look almost vacant.
Yeah. Like, we still got 2 more runs. What's going on? Where am I?
Why did my hands hurt?
Where are my pants?
Pants are the devil.
Is this lips kind of quivering?
They're swollen, if nothing else. I mean, they've both taken a tremendous amount of just a lot of volume to the head.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these guys have. So there's going to be some, at least cosmetic damage, if not, a fair amount of subconcussive blows that are starting to add up.
I'm kind of disappointed that Kownacki didn't go more to the body throughout this fight as he has in his actually last 2 fights. And, I was kind of looking forward to seeing more of that body work. And he hasn't thrown a lot of that hook and even overhand. He hasn't been setting up that overhand right with that hook like he has been. And, I'm kind of disappointed in him for not following through with that.
So let's talk about what we just saw. Arreola just got checked by the doctor, Robert. What was going on there?
I think there's some swelling around his right eye, and he's just absorbed a lot of headshots, especially over that last round, and he's been wobbled a few times. His legs haven't quite been under him all the way for the last couple of rounds. You've seen him have to take moments to, again, kind of do the running man to kind of get his legs back under him. So I think they're just double-checking to make sure he's fully cognitive.
Well, I was going to say, the bit with the flashlight, was that checking for concussion, or was that checking...
Yes.
Okay. Because I was going to say, it didn't look necessarily like he was examining the eye. It looked like he was making sure that, that the brain was still functioning.
Yeah, I think that's more what it was, is I kind of looked a little bit more at it. The swelling's not bad enough to necessarily warrant that kind of look. So I imagine they're just kind of concerned about the way he's been carrying himself, elements of his balance not being quite there the same way they should be. So
if you're producing, if you're the television director, if you're the producer of this particular broadcast, you're right now wishing that you could do CGI on both these guys' waists.
Well, I mean,
they're falling out of their shorts, people. They are just. Ugh.
It's not a beauty contest, Mark. It's a fight.
Yeah.
Nice right from Arreola.
I'm just saying, aesthetically, it's
It's heavyweights. There aren't good-looking heavyweights.
Oh, Deontay Wilder's in fine shape.
Stop that.
Oh, that was a nice left there from Kownacki. Really snapped it off. Looked like he actually, woke up.
Yeah, Arreola found some success with his right, and I think Kownacki just finally kind of timed it and was able to land on him. because Arreola's, he's still trying, but there's not a lot he's been able to do.
All right, Hazard's scorecard has it 98-92 with rounds 5 and rounds 10 going to Arreola.
That's probably about right.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good body shot from Kownacki.
I was say, digging body shot there from...
You're about 4 rounds too late for it to actually have a real impact on the fight unless you get the stoppage, but it's nice to see him go to it now.
We are in the championship rounds here of this fight. We are in round 11 as we come to almost the end of it.
That's a pretty good uppercut from Kownacki. He's finding moments for his offense. He's just not able to really string it together, and he doesn't really have the power to just kind of shut off Arreola's lights, and Arreola can absorb a lot of these kind of thudding power punches rather than the real stop your heart kind of shots.
That was a good right from Arreola. It definitely rung Kownacki's bell, but he walked right through it. Well,
Arreola went to the body a lot with his right hand that round too.
All right, Victor.
Again, he's really trying.
I think I give that round to Arreola.
We're in round 12 here. If you're in the corner of Arreola at this point, what do what use of this next 3 minutes do you make of it? What do you do?
I'm wanting Kownacki to win. I would definitely get in there and just start getting on that hook. He hasn't been using that, but I don't know that he would have to get that second win. With Arreola, however, he's finding a lot of success with that right hand, on Kownacki. So I would definitely just go in there and just do the double jab right, or even a double jab and just coming in and just a flurry of rights like he has been doing to get the judge's attention would be very beneficial for him. If he can get his wind to where he can actually put some power behind one of those rights, he can potentially put Kownacki down if he sets it up. But I don't know that he has it in him.
Funny, he went in for a hug there, and Kownacki's like, "What are we doing now?"
Yeah, they've both kind of lost the script as far as that goes. They're not sure what's up.
Why are you clinching already? Oh, you're giving me a hug. Got it. Oh, nice right. Oh, good. 2 nice rights there from Arreola.
Despite the swelling and discoloration around Arreola's left eye, I mean, it's not bad enough to warrant a stoppage or even a really hard look, but it's definitely there.
See, he's trying. He's trying with that right.
I was going to say he's scoring some good hits on Kownacki there. He knocked his head back with that one shot. If Kownacki's not careful, he's going to end up being the victim of a knockdown in this round. This is not what he wants to see happen this late in the fight.
Arreola is fighting like at a minimum, he's fighting like he needs the round, and he does, I believe, know he needs a finish. He's just unlikely to get it.
Well, Kownacki, we talked about footwork, and the one upside to being as flat as he's got a good, strong base. I would imagine it's pretty difficult to take Kownacki's legs out from under him.
And a real low center of gravity, too.
Yeah.
That would be another fat joke. Kownacki is really not getting his defense back up as they exit the pocket anymore, and Arreola's starting to find the target there.
No, they were in tight in the pocket, and Arreola was kind of scoring at will. This is not looking like Kownacki's round. He's not finishing strong here.
Not at all.
Which, I mean, that's really dangerous because he can be the victim of a bad decision.
Yeah, they could stop the fight in favor of Arreola. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Yeah.
If they stop it in favor of him, there's so much shenanigans that would have to go into that. They're just at that point desperately trying to set up Wilder Fury 2. So, hey, if there's no actual contender for Wilder, rematch.
True.
Which I wouldn't put it past,
Okay.
boxing
So
to do.
Kownacki now taking pages out of the Mr. T book of boxing as he's winging hooks. And he's winging hooks and not defending himself at all.
And Arreola's defense is about 20 seconds away from being equal to Kownacki's at this point.
Oh, there he goes. I mean, now it's a little too late for Arreola, but he's looking really good in this round.
No, I would definitely give this round to him.
He's pretty much taken this round. Kownacki's trying to steal it with the last 30 seconds or so, but I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, he's trading a lot in the pocket, but yeah, I think he's done. I feel like he was done 2 rounds ago, and these were just like, well, probably not going to get knocked out. Arreola's not hitting him with a lot of power, so I don't know what that was from his corner man.
Neither does he.
Okay, is it weird that after you mentioned the belly button, that's all? I mean, I've had a hard time looking away from his belly button.
Watch any other heavyweights that are actually kind of in shape, and they get their trunks over their belly buttons. It's a sign that that elements of your conditioning and whatnot are just not actually there.
His wife has had her hands on her mouth in the oh no position for the last half a fight. She does know he's a boxer, right?
Yeah, but after you get to the halfway point in a heavyweight fight, I think there's a pretty immediate realization that the person you're going to meet after that fight is not the same person that they were going into the fight.
Did people leave? I just they had a shot of the crowd, half the seats were empty.
After about the 4th round, probably.
They were I'm not getting stranded here like at WrestleMania. Fuck this.
Look, if it's a heavyweight fight that went the distance, unless you legitimately have 2 of the very best going at it, it's not going to maintain steam. It's not going to maintain interest, and it's not going to be a good fight.
All right, listen to the people doing directorial TV shots here. If you don't have a full crowd, fucking turn the lights off. Jesus Christ! Stop showing empty seats. It's not a good look.
I mean, even the UFC had to kind of go with that for this last event. There was a big section that they showed on a few wide shots that was just empty.
There was this UFC event recently where I'm pretty sure they CGI'd people into the crowd.
Yep.
What was it, the Sacramento event?
No, that one was okay. You're thinking of... I got my list of events. It wasn't Sacramento. That was bad. The early portion of the Sacramento card was dead. Once you got to the top 2 fights, you were okay. But Edwards versus Dos Anjos was a little bit rough. And frankly, parts of UFC 240, again, kind of the early stuff, they were loud, but they were not full. And 239. I mean, look, any event in Vegas, the first 20 fights on a card, it looks like a bomb scare, not a major event.
That is so true.
Because, Vegas.
Well, I mean, they're always hyping up to the main event, so, the undercards never get any love.
That's true. But it's one of the nice things to see whenever, either a big fight or, a promotion takes an event to a smaller, to a market that doesn't get as much love, to watch everyone actually turn up for the first fight of the night. I mean, again, Jersey's pretty bad at this point. I mean, they were that was a pretty scarce crowd, although in fairness, not also a great card. Oh God, Moicano versus the Korean Zombie had some really rough stretches, and that was actually in South Carolina, where they don't get a lot of people, or a lot of events. Yeah, there have been some that, depending on when you tune in on the card, there's nobody here. I can actually hear the coaches when they're not mic'd.
While we have a break in the action here, check the 28th and see what you're doing as far as UFC coverage. Because on my calendar, it says TBD versus TBD, but that doesn't mean anything.
September 28th or August?
Yeah, no, September 28th, the same day as Spence versus what's-his-face.
It is currently listed as UFC on ESPN plus 18. That will be their debut in Denmark.
So that's a during-the-day card.
I'm not sure. Sometimes with these events, they will cater to the local audience and go prime time there. Other times, they just give them the middle finger and go prime time in the States.
Depending which one they think is going to make them the most money.
Yeah, and they're not very consistent about it.
Okay, well, that's the Errol Spence versus
that fight
Sean Porter
that event
pay-per-view.
Is not their listed headliner right now is Jack Hermanson and Jared Cannonier. Yeesh. Not a bad. Let me be clear. Not a bad fight. Hermanson should be fighting someone higher profile than Cannonier after his last win, but I mean, he's there because he's he's not even from Denmark. God, he's like Swedish Norwegian. This is so stupid.
I'm going to pencil that one in because somebody, goddamn it, will be available for the Spence fight.
Yeah, again, depending on... They're on ESPN+, so they do have a bit more leeway about start time. I mean, that event in China on the 31st of August, like, they're starting... The prelims start at 1 in the morning my time. They're just full-on fine China. I mean, that's going to be interesting, though, because China, whatever group they have that kind of oversees athletics and whatnot, has banned visible tattoos from MMA competition.
This doesn't leave a whole lot of fighters left. All right, I think we are ready for scorecards here. There should not be any big surprises.
If anyone gives more than 4 rounds to Arreola, they're on the take.
I've got it 118 to 110 Kownacki.
That sounds about right.
117 to 111. All 3 in favor of the winner. And still undefeated, Adam.
Okay, all right.
Adam Kownacki by unanimous decision. Fantastic.
The announced scores seemed about right. And are we going to get Arreola's retirement speech now?
What?
Or is he still in the ring?
What belt does he have?
Oh, who knows?
I mean, there's only 1.21 zillion of these things, but it's still. I
believe there's actually about 2.5 belts per active boxer in the professional ranks. If we were to actually average out number of belts relative to the number of professional boxers.
That's the one thing about watching the British cards now on DAZN. It's just like there's belts I've never even heard of. I'm like, what the?
There's the Intercontinental title and the Interim Intercontinental title.
The Commonwealth titles. Jesus
and the Latin
Christ.
American title. Well, look, some of that is genuinely just like regional stuff.
God, even the WWE looked around and said, "We have too many fucking belts. We got to get rid of some of these." All right. Yeah. Speaking of the WWE, all right. Let's final words here and plugs. This is where we'll tell you what we're doing next and what we've been doing and where you can find us. So I got to ask, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Victor. Did you love it? You want to do another one of these? Huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. You know me, man, Mr. Positive. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
All right, I'm going to hit you. I'll hit you up on Messenger. Now I won't leave you alone.
You will regret so much about that. He will never leave you alone.
Hey, look, there's boxing in Serbia. It's on at 4 a.m. Get up.
Not a joke.
Oh,
he will do that.
All right. In all seriousness, this past week.
Hey, you know what? I would have asked for it because what did I say? I said I could handle it. So
that's right.
I would have to answer that call.
This past week on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network on Source Material, we did DC Hanna-Barbera 3. On Damn You Hollywood, we reviewed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Myself and Jesse Starcher gave ourselves an impromptu lesson in Riot Girls and Kinder Whores as we reviewed the latest L7 album, in which we said if you're 50 years old, stop playing punk rock music, just stop. I mean, L7, it's nice you tried, but yuck. Speaking of which, myself and Sean Comer put Jackie Brown on trial. I prosecuted, believe it or not, and he defended. It was rough work, let me tell you. This Monday on Source Material, we've got myself, Jesse Starcher, and Evan Bevins looking at Patsy Walker, a.k.a. Hellcat, hooked on a feline. Rawr. We've got Damn You Hollywood.
Shame on you for that, by the way.
We've got Damn You Hollywood, Power Man and Iron Fist the movie. Right, Rob?
That is not accurate.
Starring Deathlock and Mockingbird. Isn't that what happened?
Also not accurate.
No, but seriously, folks, The Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. We'll review it. Robert will try not to throw himself off his roof. as we do so.
My roof is not high enough. I'm not guaranteed success if I just jump off my roof. I need to find something taller.
Wednesday, August 7th is day plus 30. Yes, my house arrest is I should explain that. My doctor imposed house arrest is finally over. I can finally leave and not have to be watched all the time. Victor, I'll explain that to you offline. Everybody that listens to me already knows this shtick. But
very well. I was wondering.
I'll be celebrating the end of my doctor-imposed house arrest by reviewing the new Volbeat album. Rewind, replay, rebound. Get out your battleship chains, everybody.
If that's anything like the last album you guys reviewed, for that you're going to wish for more house arrest.
God, it was bad. Sean Comer is back for his second show of 4 for the month. We'll be reviewing the final season of Orange is the New Black. And then we've got wrestling all weekend long. We've got Ring of Honor Summer Supercard because I heart Matt Taven. We've got
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I love him
No,
both.
you don't.
I love him honestly and ironically.
Neither of those things is true.
We've got NXT TakeOver Toronto on August 10th and then SummerSlam on August 11th. We'll review all of those the following Tuesday on August 13th, me and the four podsmen. Meanwhile, as I said before, Pat Mullen is back for more boxing coverage. We'll be doing Carl Frampton versus Emmanuel Dominguez. Monday, myself and Jesse Starcher and Pat Mullen will be doing a split 7-inch. We've got source material / Damn You Hollywood. We'll be looking at the book versus the movie for The Kitchen. On Tuesday...
They both suck.
Thank you. Well, we're doing SummerSlam weekend. Robert Winfree is taking over the reins of Damn You Hollywood, and it's going to be all horror all the time.
In fairness, it's supposed to be my show anyway.
Sure it is.
Just saying. Look, anytime you are unhappy with that, so you tell me, no, it's your show, but then you give me no actual creative control or anything approximating.
One of us is talent, the other one is producing. That's how it works. That's how we get along. Robert Winfree.
It's still going to be a good one, folks. Tune in.
That's right. He'll be taking over with Alexis Hana and The Prodigal. That's P-R-O-D, not P-R-O-T, because I can't spell, apparently. Jason Teasley, The Prodigal Son. They'll be talking scary stories to tell in the dark. Myself, Jesse Starcher, and TMC will be reviewing the new Slipknot, We Are Not Your Kind. And then Sean will be back for his third show of the month, Glow Season 3. I will actually be talking to both Seans, Sean Garmer and Sean Comer. The Superblog team-up is talking about immortality, and our contribution, myself and Jesse Starcher, we are supporting females in science fiction, goddammit. And we're doing so...
help me, I will kick you in the face.
And we're doing so, goddammit, by watching Jupiter Ascending. We're going to do
that supports no one.
No,
all you're doing is inflicting self-harm.
I read it in the Wikipedia page.
Mark.
I read it in the Wikipedia page. Women have claimed it as their own science fiction, even though it's terrible.
Look, they can anyone who wants to claim that train wreck can have it.
Oh, Mila Kunis tried so hard.
No, she didn't.
And it's not like Channing Tatum had Gambit to do. You got to work somewhere. Anyway.
No, he doesn't. He's terrible. He should not have work.
Myself and Jesse Starcher will be doing a watch-along for Jupiter Ascending as part of the Superblog team-up. David Wright from...
Which of you will be more drunk?
Me. If I'm allowed to... If it's part of the end of my doctor-imposed house arrest is over and I can drink again, I absolutely will be more drunk.
You will need it.
Probably. David Wright from our Canadian office will be doing an afternoon Lost in Space Season 1 TV party, and then that night, myself and Robert Winfree will attempt to do our first pay-per-view UFC watch-along in quite a few years. I think the last one, Aldo is still champion that we did.
I don't remember exactly. I know you and Pat did a few that I was able to kind of bounce in and out of when you were doing them on Google Hangout. I know you did a couple after after we moved under a different platform. That was much more of a difficult thing for me to kind of move in and out as I was able to, and so I know you did a couple completely without me, which is fine. They're probably better.
It's still been a while.
It's been a while.
as we move to the end of August, we've got Saga of the Swamp Thing, Book 1 from Alan Moore on source material, the DC Universe Swamp Thing, one and only season on the 20th, Thy Art is Moida on the Metal Hammer of Doom Human Target, and then myself and Sean Comer will put the 1982 Swamp Thing on trial. The only thing I remember about that movie is Adrienne Barbeau being stabbed in the boobie. Myself, Jesse Starcher, and Al motherfucking Sedano. Yep, it did happen. We'll be doing a TV party for Good Omens, and then we'll talk about what we're doing on the 24th. We'll figure it out. But on the 24th is also D23. We'll talk about it the following day on a Screaming Boy podcast.
Further proof that people watching the show are morons. They have the results of the poll about which historical fighter would you want to see Deontay Wilder fight. The fighter with the lowest number of votes is Joe Louis, who is absolutely the best heavyweight on that list.
Terrific. No one knows who he is.
I know. Bunch of heathens. Godless heathens. No respect for Joe Louis.
Ronnie Adams. We'll pull him out from the bunker he's hiding in, and we'll do a Screaming Boy podcast on D23. Him, me, and Alexis. And finally, we've got DC First, Superman vs. Lobo, Krypton Season 2, Rage of Light Imploder, the Banana Splits movie, the horror movie that's airing on the Sci-Fi Network. And finally, as soon as NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff ends on the 31st, myself and Pat Mullen will give you a quick review just in time for everyone to run over to Bleacher Report Live to watch AEW I'm All the Way Out Zip. All right. Those are my plugs.
Wow.
I've literally done that joke every time I've plugged that show for the past month.
I know.
Go ahead, Victor. Once again, tell them about your podcast, where to find it, what you're doing. Go.
All right, very good. I don't know that I can compete with yours.
This is what I do, man.
I'm looking at my schedule, going, man, I need more content here. What's going on? My podcast, All About Life. We're about inspiring people, inspiring you guys to go after your purpose and after your dreams, and not allowing anything or anyone to keep you from it. We've got, we're on iHeart. And what you guys can do is actually just, if you want to find my podcast, just type in All About Life with VIC. There's no other podcast with that name, so I'm always part of the top results. I kind of just happened that and worked out that way. I'm happy about it. I didn't do it on purpose. I wish I was that smart, but I'm glad it happened that way. So just search in any podcast platform, All About Life with VIC, and I should be, in the top results there. We got On the Road Mondays coming up this week. I've begun speaking about focus and, focusing your attention and limiting possibilities to increase opportunities. And I'm going to keep following that thread into focus and giving practical ways to maintain the focus. And that's going to be On the Road Monday. Roll With Me Tuesday. I'm thinking this is going to be the theme, for all of next week. Random Wednesdays is just where I talk about whatever's on my mind that day. So there's no script. There's nothing to it. There's nothing written down, nothing pre-planned. It's just, you having to hear me jabber around about what was on my mind on that particular Wednesday, then join me on Hump Day to see what the heck I was thinking about. And again, Thursday, Friday, we'll continue, on focusing and finding practical ways to focus our energy to meet our goals.
All right, fantastic. And I really appreciate you joining me for this, and I hope to do more of these with you in the future. We can talk offline about what specifically we want to get into. But again, you were great tonight, and it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being and honor being on this podcast with you, Mark. I really, really do appreciate it. And, your friend there wasn't as negative as I was expecting. He did good. He did good.
He behaved himself. And now that Fred will tell you all about his podcast and the events that he's covering. Hit me, baby doll.
No, the last time I did, you threatened to call the cops. All right, you can find me most Sundays hosting the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. It tends to go live Sunday evening, maybe technically Monday, depending on where you are in the world. This week we will be reviewing UFC on ESPN5, which wrapped up earlier here on Saturday, and previewing UFC on ESPN Plus 15? Yeah, 14, excuse me. The UFC's debut in Uruguay. They've brought a card that kind of sucks. Top two fights are good. Valentina Shevchenko and Liz Carmouche, technically a rematch. Liz Carmouche, the only person not named Amanda Nunes to hold a win over Shevchenko, which she scored via doctor stoppage due to a cut earlier in both of their careers. And Vicente Luque versus Mike Perry is good, old-fashioned Florida man brawling, and I am completely okay with that. The rest of it, yeah, no. That's going to be rough. That's going to be rough. Okay, no, sorry. There is one other one. Alexei Kunchenko and Gilbert Burns should be pretty good, but yeah, that's it. I shouldn't have to tell you why Rodolfo Vieja and Oscar Pejota is not good. Volkan Oezdemir and Ilir Latifi are fighting because we can't have. Thank you.
Ilir Latifi still a thing?
Yes.
He subbed in for one Sweden card. IKEA is from Sweden. I like meatballs, and we have not let go of him yet. Yikes.
Yeah, we can't get rid of him. Every time we get close, he wins.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, this is not a very good card on paper. Hopefully it actually delivers in practice. And I will have to actually look up the altitude of Montevideo, because we might be pretty high in the sky, and that's always interesting. So we'll preview that whole card, such as it is. We'll talk about news of the week. Again, Cyborg being released by the UFC.
Because that's not a contentious relationship at all.
Yeah.
That's been... Oh, God.
I did enjoy her calling Dana White a liar to his face, though. Just want to say that.
I mean, he's a fight promoter. Of course he's a liar.
Yeah.
It's a given.
Dana White has said two diametrically opposed things in the same sentence. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's real. That is absolutely true. He did it last week at a press conference. It was shocking.
All right, you got anything else for me?
Okay, so again, we'll talk about all the news of the week. So there's a few things, nothing too major, but a few things. Then again, Damn You Hollywood this Tuesday, where Mark tries to convince me that Hobbs and Shaw is a worthwhile endeavor. And it's not actively diminished the quality of my life by observing it.
My son loved it. My daughter, she was like, it was okay.
Your son is 4.
5.
Whatever.
By the way, I asked him which one did he prefer. Did he like The Rock or Jason Statham? He was like, I like the one I kept calling Muscle Man, and I'm like, I'm guessing that's The Rock. He's like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Love my son. Yeah. He's the best.
You will change your tune by the time we actually review the movie. I'm almost sure he will do something that will just piss you off to the point where you're like, you know what, my daughter, I should have stopped at 1.
No, never.
Just wait. Just wait.
You done?
Yeah, I think that's it. So tune in for both of those. Oh, you can find my full report from UFC on ESPN5 in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com in case you would like to read up on the results, by all means. And I will have coverage next Saturday of Shevchenko versus Carmouche. So stop by, say hello. I appreciate it if you're so inclined. I need the support on some of these cards. They're just so bad.
He's so lonely.
Right. Look, my loneliness and existential crises aside.
All right, folks, we thank you for joining us for yet another TV Party Tonight Extra alternate commentary for live boxing. Kownacki versus Arreola. Be well, be safe, and behave.